Our UN General Assembly was born 80 years ago, pledging to learn from, not repeat, history. The world vowed never again. However, for almost as long, Palestinians have been living through a cruel cycle of yet again, bombed indiscriminately, yet again, killed, injured, and maimed, yet again, displaced and dispossessed, yet again, denied rights, dignity, their basic humanity, yet again. So I must ask, how long? How long will it be before we find a resolution to this conflict? How long will it be before I stand before you and speak not of suffering and devastation in my region, but of prospect, prosperity, and potential? It is the longest standing conflict in the world, an illegal occupation of a helpless population by a self-declared democratic nation, and a flagrant violation of repeated UN resolutions, international law, and human rights conventions. A failure that should have elicited outrage and action, especially from major democracies. Instead, it has been met with decades of inertia. The current Israeli government's provocative calls for a so-called Greater Israel can only be realized through the blatant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of its neighbors. And there is nothing great about that. How long before we hold all nations to the same standards? How long before we recognize the Palestinians as people who aspire to the same things you and I do, and we act on that recognition? How long before we recognize that statehood is not something Palestinians need to earn? It is not a reward. It is an indisputable right.